Yes, yes. That's another track right there by Pitbull, Hustler's Withdrawal. As I was saying, one of the joints that I was feeling the most off of those tracks that I heard. And we've got Mr. Diaz of the Hugo Diaz brothers, the guys who've produced a bunch of songs for a bunch of artists that I was naming before. Excited to have you on the air, man. How's it going?
How's it going, Robbie G? Everything good?
Yes, going good. And just going through the list of these tracks that you've produced and been a part of. It's a crazy list.
Wow, that's got to be a super throwback for me.
Going back through all the years. So those are some of the stuff that you've been working on in the past. What do you got coming up right now? What's in the works?
Well, there's a lot of things that are being released this year. I just really can't say yet until I'm allowed to. But I'm still actively working. The last record did very well. I was an artist named Leo that I had signed to my label, which is Huge Music Group. We did a record. It was number 2 independent in the country in the States. It was featuring Pitbull. It's called Awesome. Go check it out if you for those that are listening. And right now we're just gearing up for a second single on him, and amongst other things that I'm doing.
That's dope. I'm definitely gonna have to play that record on here.
I'm sure you can find it. It's on the
Leo, right? Leo.
Yeah, Leo. It's called Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It came up right away. That's good. That's good.
What's going on over there, man?
Not too much. Just got back from a trip out in Europe. So I was in Amsterdam last week. And
oh, boy. That's where they shot the Belly and Snoop record I did.
That's dope. I definitely want to hear that one, too. I didn't know that Belly was on there.
I smoke. Yeah, man. Belly's Cash Up Records. Shout out to Cash Up Records, man. Those are my homies.
Word. Yes. No, Belly goes, his family goes to the same church as my manager, actually.
Well, there you go.
Belly and
look that record up, man. It's Belly featuring Snoop. It's I Drink, I Smoke. We shot it in Amsterdam. It was a pretty cool time.
Definitely would be for sure. Amsterdam, it's quite the adventure, to say the least. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Just getting back now. We got a few shows coming up here in the area. We got B.O.B. here in Toronto next week, so that should be pretty hype. And then a few other things in the works. But just doing the radio thing here, excited to have you on the air and talk a little bit about the history of the music that you've been making, the records that you've done, and how you've been able to cultivate these relationships in the industry with some of the top names that are making music right now. Starting off, I know I've been reading up a little bit on your bio and your information. Some of the first artists that you were getting to work with, one of them was Pitbull when he was first starting out. How did that come to fruition, and how did you meet him and become so close to be producing so many records for such a very outstanding artist?
Well, I guess let me tell you a quick overview of the whole story, and basically in a nutshell. Me and my brother's 5 years older than me, so he was always in a band, and I started doing sound for him when I was 11, 12, or whatever. So he would always tote me around, and then he started a label. I'm talking the late 80s, and I was always in the studio. So anyways, to make a long story short, we did a record. This is when Miami bass music was really popular, like Uncle Luke and all that, Two Left Crew and everything.
Yeah.
So then we went and we sold, I think, 60,000 albums independently with our group. So fast forwarding, that was my brother's thing, and then I started making beats on my own, started producing on my own, landed Trick, this, that, the other. The way I got involved in the business, heavy, and to be able to have access to the artists was Circle House Studios, which is a main hub in Miami where everybody works at. They really kind of took me in and let me basically hang out there, you know what I mean, in a sense. So I was able to have access to these artists and play them stuff. So as well as my brother being an engineer and a Grammy-winning engineer, he would have access to these artists. So he would, hey, you want to hear a beat? And they're like, sure, So that had a lot to do with our placements as far as, that question goes. The other stuff with Pitbull is Lou was mixing, because Pitbull was signed to Luke Records, and he was mixing a record with Uncle Luke and Pitt on it, and there was this white boy sitting next to my brother. He thought that was the assistant engineer, and the whole time that was Pitbull. So my brother called me. He's like, "Yo, I hear this kid, man. He's unbelievable, blah blah." And at this time, we already formed Diaz Brothers, and we tried to start a label. Mm-hmm. We were looking for an artist to sign, and us being Latin and things like that in Miami, is kind of only made sense that we found. Like, I figured, we had the conversation that, you know, it was only a matter of time that eventually there's going to be a famous Latin rapper from Miami, because it was that time. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So anyways, to make a long story short, he was signed to Luke, so my brother told him, look, you know, if you ever get off the contract, call us. I think it was about 2 months later, we're sitting having a meeting about what we're going to do next about our company, and he calls us and says, "Hey, I'm off the contract, what's up?" So we ended up signing him and then doing his first 5 albums and, you know, moving forward and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's my little brother, put it that way.
That's killer. That's killer to be to be able to find that artist that you were looking for, and there's
I'm not gonna lie, he fought us tooth and nail the whole ride. You know, the first year he wanted to be gangster, and I was like, look, bro, not that he can't handle his own, because Pitbull's nasty. I just, people don't know him that way like I know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I seen, like, there's a big transformation in his music, probably around that time that you guys found him and took him under your wing, because, like, just listening back through the history of his music last night, I was checking out all the old unreleased mixtapes and stuff, and just like, I feel what you're saying about him wanting to be a gangster, because there was a lot of drug references. The thing was too, a lot of it had to do with the fact that he was 19. You know what I mean? So, like, that was the cool thing to do, obviously. You know what I mean? Yeah. And also, it's the same scenario, you know, with Flow Rider too. You know, after that, Flow Rider was, you know, on some gangster shit until, well, I mean, gangster stuff until, you know, he transitioned into what he is now. You know what I mean? There ain't nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding where you fit in. You see what I mean? For sure, and yep. that kind of music doesn't really get heard by the masses. Absolutely, it kind of stays in its own little corner. Right. So that's big that you have the you know, the ability to recognize how to take an artist that's got skill, you know, has a solid flow and knows how to rap, and then turn them into an artist that is a great songwriter and can make hits. Well, see, the thing is, I think the advantage me and my brother had was the fact that we always kind of like were independent and ran our own label from the beginning. So we learned a lot about the business as well. Like, people consider beat makers producers, and they're not producers, because the word producer is not a beat maker. You know, anybody can make a good beat. Not anybody, but you know what I mean? Like, but no one knows how to produce a good record. You see what I'm saying? Like, perfect example is Puffy. He probably never made a beat in his life, but he's produced how many hits, you know? Like, yeah, it's about bringing people together and knowing how to get the right people in the room. Putting together the record that's going to be the best record, and knowing what's lacking and what's good and what's not good, you know? It's weird, because I never really, you know, it's not something you go to school for. It's just a gut feeling, I guess. I was blessed with that talent. Well, it's definitely paid off for sure. Making the records that you have, like that feeling, that vibe, whatever you have, the ear for it. It's definitely there, and it's you know, it's. I gotta be honest with you. It's still a little surreal, because it's like, as much as you know, the things I've done, it just doesn't really seem like it's my reality for some reason. I don't know, maybe because I'm the guy doing it. Yeah, no, it'd be hard, especially, you know, when people come up and talk to you, and you mention some of the people that you work with. I'm sure you get that reaction where people are just like, whoa, like, huh? Like, I definitely turned my head a couple of times when I started reading off the list there of the people that you'd worked with. I was like, holy, this, you know. I do that to my own credits. Like, you know, there's so many credits I forgot about too, that I'm like, oh, that's right. You know what I mean? Like, people got to understand, I started when I was 15. I had my first successful record when I was 15. I'm 42 now, and I'm still going. So, like, there's so much stuff that you forget about, you know, because you're just working, you know. Like, I never look back. I always look forward. So I guess that's the reason why, you know what I mean? That's a good a little secret of success right there, I think, is trying to focus on what's ahead and not so much, you know, contemplating things of the past. Just keep it moving. Always on to the next thing. the next big record, the next big hit. So that whole list and all those artists that you've worked with, if I can, who would you say, aside from Pitbull, because I know that's kind of a biased question, who's one of your favorite artists that you've had a chance to work with that as like a kid, that 15-year-old kid that first got into the game producing, to be able to work with these artists? Like, who is the person that you were just like, oh my God, like I can't believe that I'm in the room and working with this person?
The aha moment type of vibe.
Yeah.
I would have to say Lauryn Hill, just because it was a scenario that I mean I respect her and she's super talented, you know. I'm not saying anything negative, I'm just saying that just because from my perspective I was just working, and then I had this moment where she was like, hey man, I wrote the song, pulled me aside, and we were just me and her poolside, and that's when the aha moment happened to me, where she was just like actually singing to me an idea that she wrote, and I was like, holy shit, that's Lauryn Hill, you know what I mean? You kind of forget, you know?
Yeah, no, that would be big.
Yeah,
that would definitely be big. That's cool. That's crazy that you had a chance to work with her. She's definitely one of the top artists in my catalog, for sure. And even Wyclef, like that track I was playing before, the In the Zone track.
Yeah, that was funny because that's the first time I met Wyclef, was then, and Wyclef and Jerry Wonder and the Beast. Those are some good people right there. I mean, he actually gave me some incredible advice that kind of changed my my life in a sense. So like he knows it. Like he's come to my house later when I signed Pit and all that. And, you know, he even told me, he's like, "Why do you think I'm here?" And I was like, "Oh wow, you know, really modest, good dude there."
What was the little tidbit, if you can, or even just enlighten us a little bit on it?
Keep that to myself. That's a little personal.
Okay. We're always interested, you know, in the different things that can change. I think, like for myself, even just last week in Europe was one of those moments where it's just like it really opened up my eyes to be like, holy, this music industry is a lot bigger than my backyard of Canada here, because I'd only just been touring in my own country and I hadn't had a chance to really break out. And now seeing just a
well, you got to come see me in Miami, man.
Yeah, for sure. I want to. I definitely want to come down there. Because, you know, that's another thing I wanted to ask you about is, like, what's it like being in the hub of, you know, one of the biggest hubs of music in the United States, Miami. A lot of the big, huge records come from right in your backyard, right in your area. How is it? How's the music scene down there? And what's it like being a part of it?
The music scene is huge, and it feels great, man, because, you know, I was trying to do this when the industry didn't even consider Miami as a music scene. You know, they were like, oh, you guys just do bass music, you know, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And I remember, you know, being in New York, working on an album and a project. I think it was my first album deal with a group called K-Squad. You know, we're signed to Atlantic, and we were in Soundtrack Studios in New York. And, you know, Biggie and Heavy D and everybody else, the Beatnuts, we're all in the same building doing their thing, you know. So, like, the common grounds, like, when we make coffee and all that, I would bump into them. And not any of them had beef with us, but, you know, we even had incidents just because we were from Miami doing hip-hop that, you know, New Yorkers didn't like we didn't have any respect. So for now to see everybody moving to Miami and considering Miami like this big, huge music scene, to me is super exciting and super gratifying to finally, for all us Miamians to get, you know, recognition, you know.
Yeah, for sure. That must have been hard those first days when you're like, there's so much talent. There's so much talent down here. If only they could recognize and not getting the respect that you deserved, and then eventually, you know, being able to release the music that you have and being a part of that success. That must be really gratifying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not just me, obviously, but yes, it was definitely gratifying to be a part of that for sure.
Some of the biggest artists have definitely come out of Miami, and, you know, like you said, a lot of them are now moving down to that scene to get their things popping. Just even the West Coast, like the whole West Coast scene has just really, I think, exploded.
Yeah, I think it's all focused now down south in Miami. Like, it was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know, New York had its reign. You know, the West Coast had its reign, and New Orleans had its reign, Texas had its reign, and then, you know, it was just Atlanta, of course, but I'm just saying it was just a matter of time where Miami got noticed, you know.
Popped off.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like living there, just being a part of the nightlife and being a part of the city, the beaches and stuff like that?
Well, see, the thing is, I live in Miami, and now recently I live in Indiana as well. So, like, Miami, to me, because, you know, it's my stomping ground, it's a little chaotic because it's just, you know, it's Miami. But now that I've moved to Indiana, too, and I can actually, like, take my hat off, you know, like, I don't understand. I don't know if you understand it, but, like, when I'm here in Indiana, I'm actually just a family man, you know, a dad, where I can just take my hat off and just actually walk around in, you know, PJs, you know what I'm saying? In Miami, when I'm there, it's just, you know, this party, that party, you know, studio, this party, that party, which is great, you know what I mean? But it can also be a little daunting.
Yeah, and draining, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, Miami is my first love, and then, you know, it'll always be my home, and it's paradise down there. It's absolutely the place to be.
You're bigging it up, man. I definitely think I should go and check it out now.
Oh, you have no idea.
All right. I have to make a trip down there. It's on the agenda. So a little bit more I wanted to ask you about just producing in general. What kind of skills, like, did you learn? Like you said, it's not something that you go to school for. Have you taken any school for the production skill that you have? What kind of instruments do you play yourself, and what kind of, like, role do you have as far as, like, putting the beats together?
Well, no, didn't go to school. I guess I was self-taught because, you know, by running labels and being in studios, I guess you just end up learning it. But I played drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, master of none, but, you know, I can fiddle around, which was a big obstacle for me because I wasn't born, you know, a musician per se, meaning, like, you know, some people are like 10 years old and they already know how to play the piano or something. It was something that I had to pick up and force myself to learn it because it was just going to help my production. The way I learned how to produce specifically, when I decided that I can do this, my brother had a drum machine. I had nothing, you know, I was still living at my parents' house, and my brother got married, whatnot. So I would call him every day and be like, look, man, I need the drum machine, man. I need the drum machine, All right. So I bothered him so much to the point where he finally came to the house and was like, here's the drum machine. Leave the hell alone, you know? So what I did was, you know, luckily I have very supportive family, my parents. You know, if I wouldn't be who I am right now if it wasn't for my parents. Like, they never, ever once doubted or, you know, told me to do something else. So anyway, so I grabbed my parents' stereo system and put it in my room, put the bed on the floor, set up a little mini studio, and I literally sat there for like a year and a half, like every day, and just studied why the kick, why the snare, why that sound, why the hi-hat, this, that. And so I got to a point where I was comfortable enough in making beats where I was like, oh, okay, I understand this. And I took on my first project, which was a group called K Squad, and we got a record deal with Atlantic Records, you know, shortly after that, which was surprising to say the least.
To be like the first project that you work on and it turned to gold.
Right. Well, we didn't sell gold, but you know, I did get a record deal, and that was huge at 19. You know. Yeah,
that's pretty much, you know, getting it. That's huge, man. That's huge to be able to say that. But, you know, it's not like it just came to you overnight, right? It's something that you have to work at.
Comes overnight, man. Everybody should know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still working at it, you know.
I think some people do get that misconception though early on in the game. They're like, oh yeah, you know, I can just do this little thing.
Everything quick, you know.
Exactly. This society and the world we live in.
This is a 5-second attention span society right now.
Blows my mind. Which how do you guys keep that capture factor? I don't know, the ability to be able to keep those eyes on the screen, and keep those ears, you know, in tune with the music as far as keeping with the times and stuff with how society has changed now. Like, have you guys had to alter your music in any way based on the fact that society is changing in that respect?
Well, I always say to people that are creative people, and they, you know, the real creative ones would understand easily because, times are going to change and things will never be the same, because what's the point of creation if that's the case,
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be, as a creator, you have to be willing to adapt and change constantly and always reinvent yourself. So that, to me, is the drive that keeps me going, and the love I have for it, obviously. But, that's what keeps me going, because I don't know what I'm capable of tomorrow, or what I'm going to learn today I can implement tomorrow or now, for that matter.
That's very true. Every moment you can learn something new, and people always say you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Just got to stay open-minded, right? And stay open.
Well, the only way to survive, I've survived pretty long so far. It's been working for me, so I don't know if it'll work for you, but that would be my advice. Like, just keep an open mind and always understand the learning, it will never stop. You got to constantly learn. And your hustle, like, as soon as you let off the gas pedal, it's like, why did I do that,
Definitely.
It's almost like you have to rebuild.
Consistency is so key. I always try and tell people that don't stop what you're passionate about and never give up on it, because you might be able to turn out just like Hugo Diaz, the Diaz brothers, with hits under his belt.
I tell everybody, everything starts from a dream. It's what you do with it. Everybody's got incredible ideas. It's just very poor execution.
That's the killer one right there. That's the big piece of advice. No procrastination. You say you want to do it.
The reason people win, in my opinion, is because we outwork everybody else. So, people assume, or I don't know, maybe they assume that, oh wow, once I'm rich, I'm going to sit around and do this, that, the other, and it's the exact opposite. Once you're succeeding in life, it's 10 times more work you have to do.
You gotta maintain that. And how do you balance that in your own life? Like you were saying, out in Indiana, you get a chance to put your PJs on and kind of not have to be the man in the suit or the man at the party, meeting people and doing the business thing. How is that for you now that you have this big expectation on your shoulders of making all these hits and now having to make more of them and connect with more artists, but still try and relax a little bit?
You know what it is? I think it's been the best thing for me in my life thus far, because before it was always on and never off, and now, so there's times where you have to just sit back and do nothing, because if not, you'll burn out, So this being, by state, living, has definitely helped me work through my thoughts and clarify things, where otherwise before I would just overlook them because I'm just so tied up doing this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm more effective now than I was before.
How long have you been doing that, like living in two different places?
2 years now, which is, I don't continue. I don't see myself not continuing. I'm really digging this.
That's good. How much?
I'm also at a different stage in my life too, where I can kind of, throttle back a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. How much do you think that you, like, percentage-wise, do you live in each place? Is it kind of 50-50 or more?
Well, it depends. Like right now, through the holidays, it usually slows down because it's the holidays, and
mm-hmm.
who doesn't want to spend time with the family, which I love. But right now, it's going on February, and it's already speeding back up. I already feel the avalanche on its way. So, I would say last year and the last couple of years, it was probably 40, 60, like 60 in Miami, 40 in Indiana.
That's good. That's solid. Gotta have that.
It works for me. It's been working. I've been, balance is key. I believe, you know what I mean? Too much of anything is not good, so.
Yeah, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And you know all about that being a producer.
My favorite catchphrase is KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. If you haven't figured that one out, then you'll never figure it out.
All right, I'm taking that. I'm adopting that, sir. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I'm going to remind people that.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. It's been an honor to be able to have a chance to talk to you and get some information on the history and, you know, the building of some of these records.
Can I plug something real quick, though?
You can plug anything that you want.
This is my new venture, which, let me try to explain. I get approached all the time to produce for, I'm talking about unsigned artists and artists that are trying to, do something in this industry. And, usually the reason why we can't work is, budget constraints, you know what I mean? So, like, I hate having to say no because I would love to, but if I said yes to everybody, basically, I'm like the Mother Teresa of the music business, like, it'll be all-consuming. So I've been thinking about how I can help and devise a way to help. So I created this website, which is called freebeatsforlife.com, and it's going to go live on February 14th, Valentine's Day of this year. I threw up a link today of the splash page where you can go see and sign up so then you won't miss the release. And in there, I am going to weekly, constantly post up my music for you guys to download and use for whatever you guys want.
Wow.
So, with that being said, freebeatsforlife.com, go there, sign up, and I will see you February 14th, and it'll all make sense once it's active and running because it'll be self-explanatory. And I'm hoping to reach people that would never have a chance to work with me or people like me through that site, and we can all actually elevate our situations.
That's wicked. That's an awesome thing to offer. There's a lot of hungry artists out there that, like you said, have budget constraints that don't allow them to work with producers of your caliber. So that's a great way to give back to them and maybe have a chance to discover some new talent.
And I tell them too, this is not throwaway beats. These are legit. This is my work. So people are going to assume, oh, that's just some beats that he has, from year 2000 or something. No, these are weekly. When I make them, I'm going to post them. Killer. The new stuff, the hot stuff. Yep. Hot off the press. I believe it's going to be the best way to connect the dots between all these barriers that get in the way. Especially using social media as explosive as it is now. I think it's perfect timing for something like this. Definitely. Well, we'll plug it a lot up here. We got a lot of artists that listen and tune in. freebeatsforlife.com, right? Correct. Awesome. That's wicked, man. That's a big thing to give back to artists like that as a producer of your caliber. So I'm more excited to see what is going to come from it. Like, I want to hear the records that everyone does with music. It's going to be incredible. I'm sure there's going to be things that I've never even thought of doing before, I'm excited to hear some of the beats that come out there because I might end up eating. Valentine's Day, brother. Valentine's Day. Awesome. Looking out for it, and we will drop all the information on here. Any other plugs you want to put out? What's a place where somebody can check out your stuff? Also my clothing line, which is DiazBrothersInc.com. I have a clothing line. We're opening up 2 stores, one here in Louisville, Kentucky, and one in New York. So go on the website, check it out. If you like some stuff, man, go ahead and purchase it right online there and support the movement, man. Cool. Word up. There you go. Check them out on those websites and look out for freebeatsforlife.com. Also, Twitter at Hugo Diaz Bros, Facebook Hugo Diaz Bros, Instagram Hugo Huge Music, and what else do I got? And also, Freebeats for Life is Facebook, Twitter, all that too. And it's Diaz Brothers Inc. Sorry. It's all good. Get the links out there. Go and check them out, people. Much respects for the interview, bro. No problem, man. Salute, bro. Robbie G, man. You're one cool dude, bro. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, man. And I look forward to meeting you when I come out to Miami. Absolutely, bro. Don't you touch down without calling me. All right. Peace out.